Hey everybody, Kevin Bjorklund here, and this is an episode of Mindset Mastery. Today we're talking about how to be grateful when everything seems to be going wrong in your life. I know that this is not something that is easy to do, but I am aware of how powerful it is. And so in this video, we're going to quick touch on three things. One, what is gratitude? Two, why does it work? And then three, how to be grateful when everything seems to just be going awful in your life. And so to kick it off, I'm going to share a story of how this has really transformed my life. And this example is, from years ago. And this is just a decision that I had made early on to shift my perspective to find the good in any situation. Okay, so that was kind of a decision, and we'll be talking about that. But I was driving this beater truck. It was a Ford Ranger. It was decent, it was okay. It just it wasn't great, and it had problem after problem. Anyways, I was driving down the highway, and then it was its last day. The truck refused to go on. So here I am on the highway. It breaks down just enough to where I can actually just exit, not even exit, but I just have to get to the curb, and it's toast. Like, there's nothing I can do. I'm going to have to total it, get it towed, all this stuff. And previous to this, the air conditioning had gone out, the heater had gone out, and at that point it was like winter. And so I remember this was a long process with this vehicle, and I was not in the place to fix it, or I had no money. And I just remember when it was freezing, I was so cold. I just remember getting into the truck, and freezing. And I made a decision to just say, God, I thank you that I have this vehicle. I thank you that I can go from where I am right now to where I need to be. I thank you that I have a vehicle. And I made that a habit for the winter. So then months later, again, this is like the final day. It dies on the side of the road. And so I have to get it totaled. Well, and towed away. And so I take the same approach here. God, I thank you so much that I had this vehicle and that it served its purpose. At that point, I had no idea what I was going to do. I didn't have any money for it. But I was grateful. And I was genuinely grateful. I wasn't complaining, which is the opposite of gratitude. And we'll get into it. And I'm telling you something, it's like miraculous happens. How when you're grateful, so I was grateful, and it was like almost immediately I got in contact with the right person, and that person found tremendous favor with me, and they had just acquired a Honda Civic that was in great condition. And he was like, listen, I'm going to make sure that you get this at a steal. Like, I'm going to make sure that you get it for what we paid for it. And so they went through this whole process at a dealership, and they got me that vehicle for, I want to say it was like $3,000 below what it was on Kelley Blue Book or any of that. And so I got this car. And then, again, I'm going to use, so the next one. So I was so thankful. Thank you, God, for this car. Then it was 4th of July, I think the same year. And I got T-boned, and that car was totaled. And so it was the same thing, gratitude. And what led to the next thing was, it was like no matter what happened to me while I was being grateful, no matter how bad the situation was, it always ended up that I was like upgrading the vehicle that I was in, and I was getting more, even though bad things were happening to me. And so what is gratitude, and why does it work? And then how can you make sure that you develop the habit of gratitude so that no matter what's going on in your life, you can benefit from everything that you currently have? That's what we're going to be talking about today. And I'm telling you, this works. That's just one example of hundreds in my life that I can tell you about. So what is gratitude? I'm looking down here. Gratitude, let me see, I just took it away. Gratitude is the quality of being thankful. One of the synonyms to this word is recognition. So your ability to recognize what is good about something that is going on. Okay, so that gets into this mental capacity that God has given us of perception. We've been given this gift to be able to decide not only just what we look at, but how we look at what we look at. And so you're always proposed with two options. You can see the good or you can see the bad in every situation, every single day. You can look at your bank account and you can decide whether you see the money that is there or the money that isn't there. Even if you only have $10 to your name, you can still recognize what you have or what you don't have. That is this power of perception. And so gratitude is the powerhouse behind recognizing and being thankful for what you do have. And so why is gratitude so important? I'm not going to go too deep into the weeds here, but this is the stuff that I geek out on and the stuff that I love. And if you love this, then we should have a conversation because I think it is so fascinating and it's laced throughout the Bible and it's also very scientific and very proven. But everything is energy and everything is energy in a state of motion. And so there are certain energies or frequencies, vibrations that are more powerful or less powerful. They're more positive or less positive. They're more intense or they're less intense. And so the gratitude, what that does to your emotional state, which is essentially the condition of energy that you are giving off as a human being, your state of being, when you are grateful, you cannot be afraid. You cannot be worried. You cannot be angry when you're grateful. And so when you're grateful, it eliminates all of the negative energy. And here's the fascinating thing about energy. The energy that you are putting off is actually the energy that you're pulling into your life. And so this is why you'll hear people talk about this all the time. The energy that you give off is actually what you are attracting to yourself, whether you like it or not, whether you want it or not. And so when you are ungrateful, when you are complaining, it's coming from a place of fear. It's coming from a place of lack. It's coming from an awareness of what you don't like, what you don't want. And what's actually happening is you're now attracting those things to your life. And I'm going to prove this with a couple of scriptures. But gratitude is the opposite. Gratitude puts you into a state of being where you are at a very high energy. So even like that car example, even though it was a really terrible situation, what I was doing in that moment without being aware of it is I was attracting to me the things that I actually wanted. I was attracting to myself the things that I wanted, not the things that I didn't want. Even though in my situation, I was in something that wasn't ideal, what I was doing is I was attracting the thing that was ideal to me because I was grateful for what I had. Okay, so there's some examples here. I'm going to go to the positive one. This is what Jesus did. There's two accounts in the Bible, in the New Testament, where Jesus took a very small portion of something. In this case, it was bread and fish. He was speaking to thousands of people, as it says in the Bible, and then he was saying, man, this group of people has been with us for multiple days now. And if we send them away, they're going to get exhausted because they haven't eaten yet. We need to feed them. And so he looked at his disciples and he said, you feed them. And they couldn't even wrap their mind around it because it was impossible. They had no food. They would have had to journey into the town and then buy food. And I think it was like months worth of wages that they would have had to pay just to feed this crowd, which they didn't have. And so what did Jesus do? He found what little bit there was, and it was like a couple loaves and just a little bit of fish. And he separated, he got the people into different groups, and then he took the meal, and it says he looked up to heaven and he gave thanks. He was grateful for what he had, and he began to break it, and they fed the multitudes, right? This is an example of an awareness, a higher awareness of what we can't see with our senses. So gratitude is being thankful despite what you're currently seeing in your life. Okay? So that's one example of, and that is available to us today. That is exactly what's happening. When you're grateful, you are opening yourself up to the miraculous on a day-to-day basis. When we complain, we are opening ourselves up to hurt and turmoil and all of the stuff that we do not want. And yet it is very common because it's easy to focus on what you don't have, what you don't like, because those are what give us this ability to make excuses for where we are today. And so the example in the Bible where a group of people were ungrateful is when God had called Israel out of Egypt and he was sending them into the promised land. And he was providing for them on a daily basis for this journey. Now, this journey, if you look back at it, it was supposed to take 7 days. But because of the condition of the people's hearts, they were complainers. They were not grateful for anything. They were ungrateful for the food that was being provided. They were ungrateful for their leadership. They were ungrateful that they had to be in the desert. They actually wanted to go back to slavery because they could not see, they could not use this skill set of perception to see all of the things that God was doing for them to get them into a place that he wanted for them. Again, that is God's will for you, is life and life in abundance. And that's in every aspect of your life. That is in your health. That is in your finances. That is in your relationships. It's in every single thing. And the thing that leads us away from that lifestyle is lies and deception. And lies and deception are getting our attention to focus on the wrong thing, which is what you don't have, what you don't see, what you don't like, all of those things. And that's complaining. And so when you catch yourself in a state of complaining, the emotional state that you're in is negative. And that means that you are attracting to you the negative, the things that you don't want. That's why gratitude is so important, because you can live your life. It doesn't matter what your current situation is. It doesn't matter what you think right now you don't have. I'm telling you, you have something to be so grateful for. And so now we're going into the third part. How do you implement this attitude, this state of gratitude, even when your world seems to be crashing in on you? Okay? This is what we're going to talk about. The way you implement gratitude is very simple. You start to find the things that you do have. You begin to train your perception. That's the ability to perceive the same thing in a different way. And so there's this law of polarity that basically says everything has its equal and its opposite. If there's left, there's right. If there's up, there's down. And so if something is bad, there is something good. And that requires the ability to perceive what the good is in the situation. Now, for so many people, like for me, if I was to do this right now, I start to just think about all the things that I have. One, I am alive. And for some people who are in a really low state, that's not something that they actually start with being grateful for. It's something that they want to be frustrated about. But you can go even beyond, like, wow, I'm so glad I have hands that work. Like I have a body that works and functions, and I can actually walk, and I can talk, and I can think. And there's people out there who don't have that. There's people who got in a car accident and their mental capabilities were lost in that accident. That's tragic. That hasn't happened to me. I'm so grateful that I still have the ability to think. I'm so thankful that I have the ability to use my hands. I'm so thankful I have the ability to use my legs. I'm so grateful that I have a family. I have, for me, I'm married, and there's a lot of people who aren't married who want to be married. And, so there's like, you can find the good. And then, oh man, I'm so thankful I have kids. There's so many people out there that aren't able to have kids. And for people out there who are watching this right now who don't have kids, and you've been told that you can't have kids, then that can be very difficult sometimes. That could be the thing that is actually causing you to be in a state of complaining or sadness or depression. And I'm telling you, you can find something that you are grateful for. And so that gratitude, what it begins to do is it shifts everything. It begins to attract to you all of the things that you desire in your life. And so it begins small. Start really small. I'm so thankful for those of you that live with the not just the necessities, but the luxuries of life. Hot water, electricity, all of these things, food on your table, a job, if you have a job, or a skill set that you have. Like, all of these things are where you start, and you start to be grateful. So for me, I'm a Jesus follower. Like, everything about my life, I just want to give glory to God and live my life unto the Lord and in servitude to Jesus. And so I start to think of all that Jesus has done for me. For one, going to the cross, living a life that he lived, going to the cross, forgiving me of my sins. Like, these are all things that I can start with, and you begin just really, that's a massive one, but you begin small, thinking of all the things that you have. And man, I'm thankful that I have money in the bank. And it doesn't matter how much money, I have money in the bank. And if you don't have money in the bank, I'm so thankful that I have food in my cupboard. All of this, it sounds so basic, but I'm telling you, it is a discipline. And when you catch yourself complaining, you have to recognize that you're attracting to you the things that you don't want. That awareness is what can cause you to make the shift and have the breakthrough. Is when you recognize, oh, this isn't just something that I need to just be careless with. This is my life that I'm talking about. And if I get myself into a negative state through complaining, I can guarantee that I am attracting to me the things that I do not want. That's why it's so important. And so the challenge for you, I don't know what's going on in your life. I don't know what's going on in your world, but I am telling you that there are many things that you can find in your life to be grateful for. And so when you start to do that, it is like a snowball. It is like this momentum starts to build, and you start to find all of the things that you're grateful for. And when you start tapping into that, you should start a journal. And you should start journaling all of the things that begin to happen for you that you didn't even have to initiate. And you start recognizing, oh my goodness, this person called me and they gave me this opportunity. Or, oh my goodness, we had this breakthrough in our marriage. Or, oh my gosh, like, look at these shifts that are happening. That is, for people who are scared of these terms, that is the law of vibration, law of attraction. That's what it's all being talked about. And some of that is very misleading, and it gets people off. So just focus on gratitude. What you are putting out, the energy that you're putting out through these attitudes of mind, is what you are now attracting into your life. And so that awareness is what's going to give you the ability to cut off that complaining and to start to be grateful for what you have. I'm telling you, this will shift everything in your life. And this is how you begin to be grateful despite how bad things are going. If you feel like life is just crushing in on you, there's something to be grateful for. And when you start the habit of gratitude, you're going to begin attracting to you all of these things that you desire, and you won't have to work for them. You'll be doing the right things. Gratitude is the beginning of that. But you also have to just look at all the things that start happening and start a journal. Start a gratitude journal and write out what you're grateful for, but then take notice of all the things that begin to happen to you. All right, this is Kevin Bjorklund. How to be grateful even when you feel like everything in life is going wrong. This is Mindset Mastery. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next video. Comment below. I want to see your comments. I would love to hear from you. And then if you like these videos, I'm going to make more. Subscribe on YouTube to Mindset Mastery. All right, I'll see you in the next video.